adaptability.
So back to thinking AUGI for a second. Now, a lot of our members might not realize this, but for a few years, even prior to the O2 interview, you were part of the leadership team here at AUGI, served on the board as a senior Autodesk representative, a position we don't have anymore.
That makes me sound really old.
No,
I don't like that.
Well, it's better than junior representative, right?
I guess so.
You were senior in charge representative, representing us, but it was an important thing to do. So given that, anyway, the point is you've been one of us in some capacity for a long, long time. So the question is, whether it is in the official or unofficial capacity, whatever the role, what are your best memories of working with AUGI for all these years?
Wow. Once again, so many, because I did it for so long.
Right.
So I had an official role in the early days in the 90s. So I'm really aging myself, where I was the global user group manager, and AUGI fell under that. And we had a fabulous team, which I always said was living the dream, because it was like we were all so excited to go to work every day, and just to work with user groups as your job. Oh my gosh, that was living the dream. And that's, in there we got to experience taking NOG, the North American AutoCAD user group, to AUGI, the AutoCAD user group international, to the Autodesk user group international. There was a few changes and metamorphoses in there. And, there was always that board, that fabulous board, these people who volunteered, like you, Frank, volunteer your time, like you don't have enough going on in life already, volunteered your time to advise. And we were always just the group of people to support the decisions that the board, the vision that the board had. And I would say, for me, the personal memories, I think that's what you asked now.
Yeah, I think it was.
For me, was, even though it was about this great organization that was helping users be more successful in embracing these products and being more successful in their job and all of that, this was like an extended family where you got to know these people. We'd travel with them, we did road shows with them, and I got to meet some of the most amazing people in the world who are still like some of my closest friends today. I mean, I consider you my friend, Frank, and I think like Danya Tabor Hansen or Bob Bell is like one of my besties, right, for sure. And I don't want to start naming names, because then if I leave someone out, can't do that. I'm going to get in trouble. But and then I think also along with that, there's a degree of sadness, because we have lost some amazing souls that worked with us that, is always really painful as well. Even, like Bill Adams, for example, who was just the joy to always have around, just the happiest Australian ever. And we got to know his wife, Karen. And so it's a hard group of people that, hardworking group of people that become more than just volunteers. They become family, and it's hard to explain.
No, I mean, it's not hard for me to understand, because I'm immersed in it now myself, and I feel the same way. We, my fellow board members now, I just feel like family to me.
Yeah, it's not like a job. It's more than just a job. Yeah.
Right. So
I have a special place in my heart for all things AUGI and all that it's personally brought to me.
Good to hear. So certainly a unique perspective that most people can't find.
And all the people that we've been able to touch over the years, that AUGI's been able to touch, is really just means a lot. Yeah. Starts to cry. Don't cry.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
So again, terrific perspective. And given that, what would you say is AUGI's most important contribution to the CAD and BIM industry throughout all those years?
That's like, you have these questions are good.
Oh, well, thank you.
Did you write?
I had a professional write them.
Did you write all these questions? No, well, I think it's like the same as it was in the early days when AutoCAD first came out. People didn't know how to use it. There weren't books in the early days. There wasn't a lot of guidance, and so people would go to user groups to learn how to use their product and to network and to get advice and learn best practices. And I think, new technologies come out, 3D solid modeling, new products came out, BIM, new technology continues to come out, and users, myself included, we rely on user groups to help us make it through these transformations and to get advice. Is this a good product? Is that a good product? Is this the right way we should be doing things? Is this the right way we should be doing things? Is this a waste of time? And we believe user groups are the truth, right? They're not being forced to say, they're not commercial. They're not being forced to say one thing or the other, and they just hold so much validity. When I read an article in AUGI World, I believe that they mean it, right? That's right. The way it should. That's the way of the world, and no one paid them to say it like that, unless I guess it says sponsored.
Sponsored by.
Maybe. But for the most part, when somebody tells you something in the AUGI forums or whatever, I believe that that's non-biased, and I think that that's where AUGI really shines. And I think that user groups in general are being non-biased. And I think that's really crucial. But they've helped people through so many hurdles. And I always like to say that, when you post a question in the AUGI forum, and this was especially helpful and useful in the earlier days, I need to get my jobs in. I can't call my reseller at 9 o'clock at night. And I have a question and I got to get this job done. You could post something on the AUGI forum, and someplace, somewhere in the world, there'd be somebody who knew that answer that would answer it for you right then and there and save you when you needed it the most. And those types of things, those are priceless.
Yeah, we like those stories. All right, terrific. So moving back to that first issue again, in that very first interview back in 2002, you told us, and I love this, you told us a great story about an embarrassing incident where you used a foreign phrase that didn't quite translate the way you thought it did. I'm not going to spoiler alert our audience here.
Yeah, you guys will have to read
I'm not going to tell you about that.
to hear that story.
Are there any other such unforgettable moments in the 20 years since that you could share with us?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was probably the highlight.
That was it.
So I was really well known for a story which has been known as the Lynn Allen cell phone story, which I'm not going to get into now because of time. But you can. It's on. Somebody once recorded me telling the story. It got to be like this running joke wherever I went. It would be Lynn, tell the cell phone story. Lynn, tell the cell phone story. Okay. So if you just Google Lynn Allen cell phone YouTube, it'll pop up. But have you heard that story?
I have not, but
it's a very funny story.
Yeah, you'll notice a lot of hits going up as soon as
it is a
the
very
magazine
funny
and the video
story.
post.
And maybe if you do another, if we ever do another interview, maybe I'll tell you when we have more time. But I was thinking at AU. Okay. There was a couple of funny things that happened. I remember some people get really enthusiastic about wanting to talk to you. You probably felt that yourself if you taught a class that users they want to come and ask you questions, and there's a lot going on. And sometimes my schedule was really packed and I didn't have time to talk to everybody. I had to go from A to B and B to C and C to D. And I remember one time this guy was so enthusiastic. He just had to ask me some question about something. And he followed me right into the ladies' room. Oh. I remember turning around and going, excuse me, you're going to have to wait.
That is funny.
And anyway, he was pretty embarrassed, but it was pretty funny. So that just shows the enthusiasm.
There you go.
of our users. Right. That was I just always thought that was kind of amusing. And then I would say, I remember one of my most embarrassing or totally taken off guard moments at Autodesk University was, I mentioned John Cleese earlier. Right. Now you should know that John Cleese, on stage friendly, off stage like crickets. He's not rude. He just doesn't give you the time of day. So he's not Mr. Friendly. We weren't like sharing coffee and chatting off stage. Okay. So he went to his green room and I didn't see him. So we were on stage in the beginning for a little bit, setting the stage for Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And then he answered a few questions, and then we came back after the movie. And he was on fire after the movie. And I don't know if you know this, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail was not really popular when it first kicked off. And so he had never actually really seen it in a movie theater setting, let alone at having 5,000 people watching the movie at the same time. That was a very big high for him. Cool. All with coconuts. We passed out coconuts. Yeah, right. He was like, a lot of people knew the words by heart. So he could hear them, it was like Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of time, so he could hear people in the green room yelling out the words. So it was, he was on a high from watching that, experiencing this. So he comes on the stage, cool. He is on a high when he comes back on that stage, and we're up there. We did answer a few more questions, and he was pretty entertaining, and we were like drawing tickets to give away prizes, and like I said, he was on fire. And then all of a sudden he grabs me and he dips me and he full on kisses me on the stage, like out of the clear blue. Definitely not scripted, did not see that coming. And then he puts me back up, and then he goes on, and I'm just like, I'm like, what's happening right now? I don't think I spoke English for like another 2 minutes. I'm trying to be cool and move forward, but I was like, I don't even know where's John Cleese? Whatever, who are you?
That's hilarious.
It was very, very funny. I don't think you could do that now, right? He probably wouldn't do it now. Hashtag me too. You can't get away with that, I guess, now. But it was, I wasn't offended. I was just shocked, absolutely shocked. It was pretty funny. And then, incidentally, off stage, once again, crickets. He didn't talk to me at all again off stage. We weren't buddies. I thought, no, we're buddies now. You just kiss me.
Yeah, he's a performer. So
he's a performer.
Yeah.
Chop liver. I went right back to chop a liver.
No,
you didn't know that.
Certainly never chopped liver, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to put Lynn into the second banana slot. Let's just go with that.
I was like the 10th banana slot for sure. It was pretty funny.
That's great.
So it was so many memories. I got to travel with Guy Kawasaki on like a 20+ city road show. That was also very, very exciting for me. He's the one that coined the phrase technology evangelist when he worked for Apple.
That you still wear today.
I do. Yeah. So there's so many great memories.
That's cool.
I mean, I have to love Autodesk for all of that. I was very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I think all of us in the audience here would say the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I've mentioned it a few times now, that talking about the 22. See, back then we were saying the word 2000 something all the time, and now it's 20 something all the time.
That's
and every time my brain thinks 2002, I want to say 20. I can't do it. So the 2002 issue where Lynn has the interview, it's in our archives out at our website, AUGI.com, but it's only viewable if you're one of our professional level members. However, for this special event, we're going to make it available to everyone. So I want you to look for a link on our homepage, again, AUGI.com, follow one of our social media accounts where we'll post it. And I think it's going to be scheduled to be in our next Hot News email blast as well.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so
you can read about that embarrassing incident.
Absolutely, I think people will want to, because not only is that interview a must read, but all the other articles are as well. And if you weren't around in those days, it'll kind of give you a good insight into what the CAD world was like back then.
And the ads, right? The advertising.
Yeah, personally for me, it's the ads that I get such a kick out of. So, I mean, for instance, I had no idea how badly I needed to get a 16-button puck for my digitizer. Right? So, but the stuff like that's in there.
Popular, and people knew what every single button did on those 16 buttons.
And the 16s were not even state of the art. I remember one company had 32 buttons.
Oh my gosh! I never be able to remember with 32 buttons.
But yeah, mine back in the day had 8, but the rich kids had 16.
8's plenty.
8's plenty. Absolutely.